Well, hello, Christian Academy. Dr. Shell here. I'm so glad to be able to worship together in chapel. And I watch those chapels, and I want to thank the praise team for doing such a great job of leading us and for you jumping in and singing along. And thank you for the classes that have taken the leadership to do those openings. And Miss Blevins put some really cool backgrounds behind it. I just think it looks fantastic. And so I'm just glad that we can do this together so that we can be safe, but at the same time worship the Lord in our very special chapel time. And, I'm wearing, look, can you see I'm wearing my Kentucky Derby tie? That's kind of weird too, right? Here we are at Labor Day, and the Derby ran this weekend. I'm recording this on Friday, so I don't know who wins yet, but what a weird thing in Louisville to have the Kentucky Derby run, and I don't know. Doesn't seem like many people care. I'm not watching or going or anything like that. But I wore my tie just for the spirit of it. And I want to also tell you, I've been on campus and I've seen all your fun, creative mask that you're wearing, and I've been seeing some good feedback from your teachers saying that you're doing a really good job of wearing those masks and being respectful of each other. And I know they're sometimes a hassle and sometimes they're scratchy, but it's really important that we wear them so that we can keep everybody safe. And even if we're not going to get sick, we want to really make sure that we're not taking that home and spreading it, and so it ends up getting to our grandparents and the elderly people in our church and making them sick. So I'm glad you are being good about that. And I brought a couple here. This is the one that I wore the other day. Oh, I always go backwards on this camera. So there's Dr. Shell. I had this one made special for me for wearing at chapel and when I teach downtown. And then somebody got me this one. Can you see it? It's a little joke. It says coffee filter. Starbucks coffee, but this is spelled different. This is cough, like you cough on people. So this is a filter so that I don't cough on you. And then I got this one for my daughter. She's a math teacher. She teaches elementary math. She teaches math to children that are in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade at another school. And I got her this that says problem solver. And you know what my daughter says? I'm going to tell you. She says there's no such thing as math people. Sometimes students say, I'm not a math person. My daughter says there's no such thing as math people. There's just people doing math. And everybody has to. So just get that out of your head. All of us can be problem solvers. And then I have this mask that I really like to wear. I wear this one. I ordered it. It says, it's kind of hard to read if you don't read cursive. It says, give me truth. My glasses. Does that happen to you too? Some of you kids that wear glasses, it's kind of annoying. Give me truth. And actually that quote is from an author, an American writer named Henry David Thoreau. And he's one of my favorite American writers. Someday I hope you get to read some of his work, and I'd love to come and talk to you guys about him because he loved the outdoors, and he went and lived in a little cabin in the woods for 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. It's called Walden Pond, and here's the book called Walden that he wrote. And in this book, he says, don't give me fame, don't give me money, give me truth. He said, I want the truth. And so today we're going to continue talking about things that we can believe, truths that we know that we can absolutely count on. And we've been looking at the fact that we believe the truth that God is always with us. Always with us. And in the Bible, there's some stories of people that are in some really weird places, and God's there. Last week, we talked about Elijah being in a cave, and when he got in the cave, God was already in the cave. And so this week, I want to talk about prison. Somebody in the Bible was in the prison. In fact, we're going to do this for several weeks because somehow God's people keep ending up in prison. Now, this is important to understand, that they didn't end up in prison because they were doing bad things or things that were wrong. They were standing up for the truth. Or sometimes they were just innocent, but they got caught up in it and ended up being in jail. Sometimes we have to stand up for what we believe, even if it's against the law or even if other people don't agree with us. And sometimes that can get us in trouble. In fact, my friend Thoreau that I talked about, he ended up spending a night in jail because he didn't want to pay his taxes because he didn't believe in slavery, and he was not wanting to support the government if they were going to have slaves. So that's another whole story. But let's talk about the story of somebody that ended up in prison. I wonder if you can guess. I'm going to count to 3, and I want you, if you know a Bible story about somebody that ends up in jail or in prison, I want you just to shout it out. Not terrible loud now. I'm going to count to 3, and if you know a story of somebody who went to prison in the Bible, I want you to say their name. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow, that was really loud. In fact, I heard that all the way Friday, 4 days ago, 5 days ago when I recorded this. I heard it in advance, how loud you were. So I want to talk about the story of Joseph. Did you say Joseph? Anybody say Joseph? Yeah, Joseph, which is one of the sons of Jacob. We know him as Israel also. He had 12 sons, right? And his 12 sons were shepherds. And you may know the story. I'm going to walk through it really quickly. And if you don't know the story very well, then maybe after chapel, your teacher can talk you through it just a little bit more. But Jacob has 12 sons, and those sons are shepherds, and many of them are grown-up men. And it's really important you understand these are not kids. These are grown-up men. Joseph and his brother Benjamin are the youngest sons. But he has older brothers that are already married and have children. But Joseph was his father's favorite. Now we know this from the Bible. It tells us this, and that causes a problem. We'll have to talk about that at another time too. But his father gives him that coat of many colors. Maybe you know that part of the story. Jacob gave Joseph this beautiful coat of many colors, or long sleeves, and it was a fancy coat. And he let Joseph stay home while his brothers were out working really hard in the field. And that's probably not a very good idea, but that is not really Joseph's fault. Now, maybe you know the story. One day, the brothers are out taking care of the sheep for the family, and Jacob tells Joseph to go check on his brothers. And so he goes and finds where his brothers are. And Joseph had some miraculous dreams that told him that God was going to use him in a special way. He told those dreams to his brothers and to his parents, and they all thought he was being pretty proud and pretty arrogant, and they didn't want to hear about his crazy dreams. So here he comes, and they sort of thought of him as like the tattletale and daddy's favorite. Maybe sometimes you can think maybe somebody in your class is sort of getting extra attention, or maybe you think somebody on your team is the coach's favorite. And so they really were upset that Joseph was given special privileges that they didn't get. And so they decide that they're going to kill him. Now, that's way out of control. I mean, we went from Joseph sort of being a tattletale and sort of being a little boastful to his brothers wanting to kill him. So that's a big, big jump there. And so his brothers, they take him and they throw him in a pit, and they're going to sort of leave him to starve. And it's a long story. There's a lot more to this. But his brothers leave him in this pit, and they're going to let him starve to death. And then they see some traders come by, and they decide, hey, let's not kill him. Let's sell him. And so they drug him out of the pit, and they sold him into slavery. Now, I don't think being sold as a slave would be very good. In fact, my friend Thoreau, remember, he was really upset that even in our country at one time we allowed slavery. And so being a slave, I guess, is better than being dead, but still, that was wrong, and that's terrible that his own brothers would do that. So Joseph is now went from being thrown in a pit by his brothers. Now he's been sold into slavery, and he gets bought by a man named Potiphar, and he is a very important Egyptian official. And so Joseph becomes a servant to this man. And then Joseph gets accused of doing something terrible that he didn't do. But Potiphar believed his wife and took and had Joseph thrown in jail. Now here we are in jail. Finally, we got to the jail part. So now poor Joseph is in jail. He's gone from being in a pit, he's gone to being a slave, and now he's sort of hit rock bottom, and he's in prison for something he did not even do. And I don't know about you, but I could imagine that this would make me really angry and really upset and really frustrated and really depressed. And I want to read you, this is from the book of Genesis, where the story of Joseph is found. This is Genesis chapter 39, if you're taking notes at home. Genesis 39. And this is the part where the story picks up about Joseph is in the prison, having been put there for something he didn't even do. And it says, "But the Lord was with Joseph, and extended kindness to him, and gave him favor in the sight of the chief jailer. And the chief jailer committed to Joseph all the prisoners that were in the jail, so that whatever was done in there, he was responsible for it. The chief jailer did not even supervise anything under Joseph's control. The Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper." Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Here is Joseph, gone through all of that, and even in the prison, it says that God was with him. In fact, it says it twice, right there in a row. God was with Joseph. And in fact, because that God was with him, the jailer respected Joseph. The jailer realized that he could trust Joseph to be helpful and gave him lots of responsibilities in the prison. That's amazing. And so Joseph, even in that prison, knew that God was with him. And boys and girls, I know right now there's a lot of stuff going on in our communities, in our churches. Our lives have been turned upside down in a lot of ways. And you might be saying, wait a minute, I didn't do any of this. This is not my fault. This pandemic, this coronavirus that's making people sick, hurricanes and forest fires and protests and all kinds of things that are going along. And you might be like Joseph and say, wait a minute, this is not my fault. I didn't do any of this. But it's important that we realize that even when things in our lives are not fair, that God is still with us. And that God used Joseph as a blessing even when he was suffering when it wasn't fair. And I just want to challenge you this week. We're always tempted to sort of say, that's not fair. And somebody hurt our feelings. Somebody got something before we did. Maybe our brothers and sisters at home, something happens and we want to just scream, that's not fair. And you know what? Maybe what we can do is realize that even when things aren't fair, God is with us, and we can believe that. We can believe that God is always with us, even when it's not fair. So I'm praying for you, and I want you to pray for me, that we'll all stay healthy, and we'll all be able to continue to study and learn and worship together. So this is Dr. Shell. I'll talk to you next week.